somewhere between the last app you opened and the last message you never got back, you handed over a piece of your peace without even noticing. You are not imagining this. Modern dating was not built to protect your peace. It was built to keep your attention. And attention is not the same thing as connection. Every unanswered text, every profile that goes quiet mid-conversation, every match that never turns into anything is quietly training you to tie your emotional state to people who will never know they had that kind of power over you. Here is the first truth you need to sit with. You do not control whether she replies. You do not control whether the conversation fizzles out after 3 good exchanges. You do not control the algorithm deciding who sees your profile or when. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus built his entire philosophy on a single dividing line. Some things are within your power, and some things are not. Your judgments, your effort, your character, these are yours. Everything else, the outcome of a message, the mood of a stranger on the other end of a screen, was never yours to begin with. The moment you stop trying to control what was never yours, you stop bleeding peace over things that could never have honored that investment in the first place. Think about how much of your day gets quietly handed over to this. You check your phone for a reply that determines whether the next hour feels good or bad. You reread a message 4 times looking for a hidden meaning that probably is not there. You feel your mood shift based on a typing bubble that appears and disappears without ever turning into words. None of that is really about her. It is about you outsourcing your internal state to a stranger's phone, one notification at a time. Here is the second truth, and it is harder to hear. Modern dating runs on external validation, not authentic connection. The right bio, the right photo, the right opening line, all of it is optimized to win approval from people who are swiping through hundreds of profiles a week. When you start measuring your worth by how many of those swipes go your way, you've quietly handed your value over to a system that was never built to assess anything real about you. Seeking your worth in someone else's attention is not romance. It is a kind of self-imposed dependency, and it will exhaust you long before it ever satisfies you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Her response, or her silence, is an outside event. Your mind, your interpretation of what it means about you, that is the only part of this you were ever actually in charge of. Most of the pain in modern dating does not come from rejection itself. It comes from the story you build around it, the conclusion that you were not enough, when the truth is usually far more boring and far less personal than that. This brings us to the third truth. Rejection is not a verdict on your character. It is a neutral event that only gains power over you if you let it define something it was never qualified to define. The Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, a deliberate mental rehearsal of difficulty before it arrives, not to invite pessimism, but to strip fear of its power by facing it in advance. Before you ever open the app again, sit with the fact that some conversations will go nowhere, some matches will vanish without explanation, and none of that says anything true about your worth. When you expect it calmly instead of fearing it silently, it stops having the power to wreck your week every time it happens. Here is the fourth truth. you are living through a paradox of choice that no generation before you has had to navigate at this scale. Endless options should feel like freedom, but in practice, it usually produces the opposite. A low-grade dissatisfaction that keeps you scrolling instead of choosing, comparing instead of committing, always wondering if the next profile might be better than the conversation you are already having. Seneca warned that a mind constantly hopping from one thing to the next never actually settles anywhere, and settling is exactly what building something real requires. The paradox of choice does not get solved by finding the perfect option. It gets solved by deciding what actually matters to you, and refusing to let infinite alternatives distract you from it. Part of that means protecting your time and energy with real boundaries. Breadcrumbing, low-effort replies are stretched out just enough to keep you hanging on. Low-stakes attention, with no real investment behind it. None of that deserves the same energy you would give someone who is actually showing up. You are allowed to notice the difference between someone matching your effort and someone milking your patience, and you are allowed to walk away from the second one without needing a dramatic reason to justify it. Picture the pattern most men fall into without ever naming it. A conversation starts strong. 3 or 4 good exchanges, maybe even a plan floated for later in the week. Then the replies slow down. A day passes. Then 2. When she does respond, it is warm enough to keep you hooked, but thin enough to mean nothing. A single line. A question with no real follow-through. Most men stay in this loop for weeks, checking the phone with the same hope every single time, telling themselves she is just busy, she is just shy, she just needs more time. Meanwhile, the actual signal was there from the first slow reply. Effort that has to be extracted instead of freely given is not effort worth chasing, no matter how good the first few exchanges felt. Here is the 5th truth, and it is the one most men skip past too quickly. Your peace should never be contingent on finding her. It has to be built independently of the outcome, on purpose, before the outcome is decided. This does not mean giving up on connection. It means building a life substantial enough that a partner becomes something you would prefer to have, not something you desperately need to feel complete. When your days are full of real purpose, real friendships, real physical discipline, dating stops being a search for rescue and starts being an addition to something that was already solid before she arrived. This is where solitude becomes useful instead of something to escape. Most men treat time alone as a problem to be solved as fast as possible, filling it with more swiping, more searching, more noise. But solitude, used deliberately, is where you actually build the internal stability that makes you attractive in the first place. A man who cannot sit with himself in silence will always be searching for someone else to fill that silence for him, and that search radiates a kind of need that people can feel from across a room. Notice what happens to your own state the next time you put the phone down for a full evening. Not to prove a point to anyone, but simply because you chose to be present with something else, a book, a workout, a conversation with someone who actually shows up consistently in your life. That evening will teach you more about where your real peace comes from than another week of checking a screen for someone else's permission to feel good. Here is the 6th truth, and it ties everything together. Your tranquility cannot be allowed to depend on your relationship status. Not because relationships do not matter, they do, but because a peace that only exists when things are going well with someone else was never really peace to begin with. It was just a temporary truce with your own anxiety. Real, stoic peace holds steady, whether she texts back in 5 minutes or 5 days, whether the match works out or fades into nothing, because it was never actually built on her behavior in the first place. This is not about becoming cold to modern dating or giving up on connection entirely. It is about refusing to let a system built on algorithms and attention decide how your internal world feels from 1 hour to the next. You can still show up, still put in real effort, still hope for something real. All while keeping your peace somewhere she cannot reach it unless you hand it to her willingly. With both eyes open, as an act of choice rather than desperation. That is the entire difference between a man dating from scarcity and a man dating from strength. One is constantly checking his phone to find out how he should feel. The other already knows, regardless of what the phone says next. None of these 6 truths are complicated in theory. What makes them difficult is that modern dating is specifically engineered to pull you away from practicing them, one small notification at a time. Every feature of every app rewards checking, comparing, and reacting, and punishes patience, stillness, and detachment. Choosing stoic peace in this environment is not a passive decision you make once. It is a daily act of resistance against a system quietly designed to profit from your anxiety. The men who actually build this kind of internal fortress are not the ones who found the perfect match early. They are the ones who decided their peace was worth protecting long before any match ever came along, and kept choosing that protection every single day the apps tried to talk them out of it. If this gave you clarity, subscribe. New videos like this come out every week. And drop a comment telling me which of these 6 truths hit hardest for you. I read every single one.